You know what? I really don't spend much time living out, my business relationships on social media. And, Benzino and Althea.
She was called the puppet master of reality TV, the woman who pulled the strings, scripted the fights, and turned hip-hop's private drama into explosive television gold. But behind the fame, the fortune, and the franchise that took over, pop culture, there were dark secrets, fights that weren't fake, cast members who felt manipulated, and a producer who ultimately decided she'd had enough. This is the real reason Mona Scott Young walked away from Love and Hip Hop. Untold, betrayals, hidden fights, and why the queen of reality TV finally decided it was time to let it all go. Stick around till the end, because we're going to reveal the one incident that even Mona's closest friends say was the final straw. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Also, do you think Mona was the villain? Or just a smart businesswoman making reality TV messy on purpose? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Before we dive into the betrayals and chaos that finally pushed Mona Scott Young out, let's rewind for a moment. Who exactly is Mona? Because whether you love her, hate her, or blame her for single-handedly destroying black relationships on TV, there's no denying she's a powerhouse. Mona started in the music industry, not television. She was the manager for hip-hop giants like Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes, and 50 Cent. When others were afraid to bring hip-hop into mainstream pop culture, Mona was already pulling deals that put rap on magazine covers and big brand commercials, but it was the world of reality TV that truly catapulted her into infamy. In 2011, Love and Hip Hop debuted on VH1, focusing on the lives of women connected to men in the rap industry. It was raw. It was messy. It was emotional. It was in many ways a train wreck people couldn't look away from. Within a year, Mona had spun it into a full franchise: Atlanta, Hollywood, Miami, each with its own cast of drama queens, cheating scandals, baby mama wars, and bar fights. Millions tuned in every week. Social media lit up with memes, GIFs, TAGS Twitter beef spilled into real life. Cast members became overnight celebrities, and behind it all was Mona Scott Young smiling, cashing those checks, promising even wilder storylines next season, while fans laughed at the memes and waited for the next drink toss. Something much darker was happening behind the scenes. Multiple cast members have said production would stir the pot on purpose. They'd bring up rumors right before filming a scene. Producers would accidentally leak text messages or pair up ex-lovers at a table, then watch the fireworks explode. And it wasn't always harmless reality TV fakery, according to one former crew member who spoke anonymously. We were basically ordered to get them mad. If the cameras were rolling and nothing happened, that was our fault. Mona wanted drama, or she'd find someone else who could deliver. There were also accusations of mental health manipulation. Some cast members claimed they were encouraged to drink heavily before filming. Some said producers kept them isolated, hyped up gossip, and let the cameras catch them at their worst moments. In private interviews, Mona would brush it off. It's reality TV. She'd say, you sign up for this. You know what it is? As the seasons rolled on, the storylines grew even more outrageous. Fistfights became almost expected. Friends turned on each other for a storyline. Relationships were destroyed on camera, some never recovered, and all. The while Mona was collecting the checks, or so it seemed, because behind closed doors, Mona Scott Young was beginning to feel the heat, not just from the public, who started calling her shows ratchet TV and blaming her for toxic stereotypes, but from cast members themselves, who felt used and discarded once the cameras stopped rolling. As Love and Hip Hop exploded across America's screens, so did the criticism. Sure, millions were still tuning in. VH1 was thrilled with the ad dollars, but journalists, activists, and even fellow celebrities started calling Mona Scott Young out by name. They said her shows made black people look violent and petty. They argued it was perpetuating stereotypes that black women couldn't be in the same room without fighting, that black men were all cheaters or thugs, that healthy relationships simply didn't exist in hip-hop. Even Jada Pinkett Smith once threw subtle shade at shows like Love and Hip Hop, saying reality TV was teaching young people all the wrong lessons. about love and loyalty. But Mona, she stayed unbothered on the surface. In interviews, she'd give a cool, polished laugh and say, "Look, I'm not here to script anyone's life. The cameras show what's there. If there's drama, that's because that's what's real." But behind closed doors, sources say Mona was getting tired. The constant backlash meant advertisers sometimes pulled sponsorships. It meant extra meetings with network execs to assure them love and hip-hop was still good for the brand. It meant Mona had to keep pushing the envelope to keep viewers glued, even if it destroyed its relationships forever. But if you thought the public was rough on Mona, wait until you hear how some of the very cast members she made into stars turned on her. People like Joseline Hernandez, one of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta's biggest breakout stars. At first, Mona and Joseline were a power team. Joseline's fiery temper and wild love triangle with Stevie J was ratings gold. Mona treated her like a daughter, personally defending her in media interviews. But then Joseline snapped. She started calling Mona out on Instagram. Liv claimed she was underpaid, said Mona. Purposely set her up to look crazy on TV. Even accused the production of exploiting her struggles. With drugs and mental health for shock value, one infamous rant had Joseline yelling, "Mona, you evil. You have asterisk ed up my whole life for ratings? You think that's cool? All y'all do is exploit us." An asterisk. And it wasn't just Joseline. Other stars like Yandi Smith, Erica Mena, and even Cardi B before she blew up worldwide hinted that Mona's show was messy behind the scenes, that producers would lie, create fake storylines, and pit them against friends for clout. Suddenly Mona, once seen as the queenmaker of hip-hop TV, was being dragged by her own former talent, and it was starting to look personal. But words on Instagram are one thing, lawyers are another. As Love and Hip-Hop became bigger, the legal problems started pouring in. Former cast members filed lawsuits claiming they were injured during filming and the production didn't protect them. Some said they were pressured to sign contracts under duress, scared that if they didn't agree to more drama, they'd be cut out completely and lose their only shot at fame. A few even accused Mona's company of withholding pay until they delivered enough explosive footage. None of these lawsuits completely sank Mona or the show, but it added weight, stress, another set of headaches. For a producer who was already fighting fires from all sides, fans online were divided. Some said Mona deserved it. This is karma. One viral tweet read, "She made millions humiliating black women. Now look, they turning on her." Oz defended her, saying she gave women like Joseline and Cardi a platform to build their own brands. Even industry insiders were split. A former VH1 producer anonymously told a blog, "You've got to understand, Mona's job was to get eyeballs on the screen. That's it." People act shocked, but that's how reality TV works. They want the fights. They want the tears. And if Mona didn't do it, someone else would have. But for Mona, constant tension was beginning to feel like more than just business. Insiders say Mona became more withdrawn in production meetings. She stopped personally managing the cast conflicts like she used to. Some say she even considered selling the entire franchise years earlier, but held on out of loyalty and a bit of pride. Because Love and Hip-Hop was her baby. She created it from scratch. It took her from music manager to reality TV mogul. But the betrayals from the people she put on, the public calling her the biggest villain in black culture, and the lawsuits stacking up, it all was building toward something. A moment when Mona would finally say, "I'm done. Let them have it." For years, Mona Scott Young had survived every scandal, every lawsuit, every viral meltdown, every headline calling her the queen of ratchet TV. She brushed it off. She was tough. This was the industry if you couldn't handle the heat. Get out of Mona's kitchen. But there was one betrayal, insiders say. Even Mona couldn't stomach, and it came from someone she trusted more than almost anyone. Joseline wasn't just a cast member. She was a walking ratings machine. Fans tuned in by the millions to see what Joseline would do next. Would she snatch wigs? Would she break down crying over Stevie J? Would she start rapping in Spanglish insults no one else could decode? Mona knew Joseline was special. She defended her in public, called her misunderstood, and even personally helped get Joseline booked on other shows to expand her brand. It was a risky loyalty because Joseline was unpredictable, brilliant TV, but a nightmare to manage. Still, Mona believed in her, until the day Joseline decided to blow everything up, in one of the most infamous moments in love and hip-hop history. And one that never actually aired on VH1, Joseline went on Instagram Live for nearly an hour. She ranted, not at Stevie, not at her castmates, but directly at Mona Scott Young, she claimed. Mona lied to her about pay, that Mona edited footage to make her look unstable, that Mona told producers to keep pushing Joseline into fights even when she was sober and trying to change. Joseline's words were slurred, but her message was chilling. Mona, you ain't nothing but the devil. You used me. You used my pain. You put me on TV knowing I was struggling, and you made millions while I almost lost my damn mind. Now, reality TV feuds spill online all the time, but this was different. Joseline's rant was picked up by major outlets, The Shade Room, Gossip. Even the New York Times Culture Desk ran a small piece about it, tying it to bigger conversations on how reality TV exploits mental health suddenly. It wasn't just fans tweeting memes, it was serious journalists questioning whether Mona was responsible for psychological harm. To make matters worse, Joseline's rant didn't stop at Mona. She accused VH1 and the entire production team of ignoring her pleas for help, of purposely giving her more alcohol on set, of threatening to dock her pay if she didn't show up to film after explosive fights. Whether it was all true or not didn't matter. The public believed it, and Mona's brand was never the same, according to a close friend of Mona's, who later spoke to a blogger off the record. Mona was devastated. Say what you want about her chasing drama, she genuinely loved Joseline. She thought she helped make Joseline's life better, gave her money and fame she'd never had. Hearing Joseline call her the devil, that hurt more than any lawsuit ever could. Mona stayed mostly silent publicly. She did one brief statement through a PR rep, saying, I wish Joseline the best and hope she finds the healing she's looking for. But behind the scenes, that was reportedly when Mona started talking seriously about pulling back. Not just from love and hip-hop, but from reality TV altogether. Meanwhile, VH1 was watching the same headlines. Executives were worried about advertiser backlash. Concerned parents groups started citing love and hip-hop in petitions about reality TV destroying family values in a series of hush-hush meetings. Insiders say VH1 made Mona an offer. Step back as day-to-day showrunner. Come more of an executive producer in name. Let other producers run the chaos. Mona took it. Some say it was a face-saving exit. Others believe Mona demanded it herself, tired of being the lightning rod for every cast meltdown. Either way, it's clear Mona Scott Young was done being the frontline queen of drama. Over the next 2 seasons, Mona's on-camera appearances dropped. She stopped personally doing reunion specials. No more coming out to calm cast members mid-fight. No more signature Mona smile, trying to mediate tears and betrayal. By the time Love and Hip Hop Atlanta hit its later seasons, Mona was effectively gone, except for her executive credit on the intro screen. The Queen had left the building quietly. No big farewell episode, no emotional goodbye speech. Just Mona Scott Young slipping out of the chaos she created. Some fans still believe Mona pulled the ultimate producer move, that stepping away was strategic, a way to protect her bigger empire, launch new projects, and let the cast tear each other apart without her name in every headline. Because after all, Mona's still getting paid. She still owns part of the franchise, still collects royalties, still profits off reruns. So was it heartbreak that pushed Mona out? Was it Joseline's betrayal, or the lawsuits, or the social pressure? Or was Mona just too smart to go down with the ship? When Mona finally stepped back, many expected her to fade away. How do you top a global reality TV empire that redefined pop culture memes, hashtags, and the very idea of Ratchet TV? But Mona Scott Young didn't vanish. She pivoted. She launched new ventures under her company, Monami Entertainment. She began focusing more on documentaries, scripted projects, and brand partnerships, things that didn't require her to wrangle cast members into catfights or stage surprise baby daddy reveals. She even quietly partnered on projects aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs, appearing at business conferences and TEDx-style panels. To some, it felt almost ironic the woman once blamed for humiliating black women on television was now hosting workshops on female leadership and self-worth. But Mona seemed unbothered by the contradiction. In fact, in her rare interviews, she embraced it. For a long time, Mona avoided directly answering why she really left love and hip-hop. She'd give smooth, diplomatic answers like, "I'm still involved in the brand, I'm just not on set every day." Or, "I'm focusing on new creative challenges, that's what drives me." But then, in a podcast interview in 2023, Mona cracked open just a little more. The host asked her bluntly, "Was it the backlash? Was it the lawsuits? Or did you just get tired of being blamed for everything wrong in reality TV?" Mona laughed softly, then took a long pause. Finally, she said, "Asterisk, it was all of it. It's a lot to be the face of something so beloved and so hated at the same time. People don't realize how much that weighs on you. I love storytelling. I love giving people opportunities. But after a while, I didn't want to be the story anymore. I didn't want to be the headline every time something went wrong, so I chose peace. And honestly, best decision I ever made." Asterisk, it wasn't a dramatic mic drop, just quiet truth, and in many ways, it was more powerful than any reunion fight she ever produced. So now we're left with the question, was Mona Scott Young the villain? The mastermind who built $1 billion empire off people's pain, betrayal, and broken homes? Or was she simply a savvy businesswoman, giving the world exactly what it demanded: messy, chaotic, can't look away television, and getting her bag in the process? Because let's be honest, millions watched every single fight, every tearful confession, every bar brawl. Fans lived-tweeted who they'd slap, who they'd dump, who was fake as hell. We all made Mona rich by feeding into the drama, so is it really all on her? Or is it on all of us for being so addicted to the spectacle? Today, Mona keeps a lower profile. She's still quietly producing, still making deals, but she's also spending more time with family, traveling, appearing at conferences to talk about diversity in media. When asked about regrets, Mona usually gives a measured answer. "I don't regret telling stories. Maybe I regret sometimes how messy they got. But we live, we learn, we grow." And in a way, that's the most Mona Scott Young answer possible. Because love it or hate it, she changed television forever. She proved hip-hop could dominate not just the radio, but reality TV. She turned unknown strippers and side chicks into household names and millionaires. She sparked conversations about colorism, cheating, violence, and fame. Messy conversations, sure, but conversations nonetheless. Maybe it was Joseline's betrayal. Maybe it was the non-stop lawsuits in corporate panic. Maybe it was Mona realizing she was tired of being blamed for destroying black love, black families, black everything. Or maybe Mona just decided that after building an empire out of chaos, she'd rather spend her next chapter building something a little more peaceful. Either way, she left on her terms, and that might just be the most powerful boss move of them all. So what do you think? Was Mona Scott Young the ultimate villain of reality TV, exploiting people's darkest moments for ratings? Or was she just playing the game better than anyone else, giving us the very drama we all secretly craved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We single quotes rereading every single one. And if you found this story eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we've got more deep dives coming into the secret lives and shocking exits of your favorite reality stars. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep your head up and remember, behind every headline, there's a story you'll never see on TV.